Ladies and gents, welcome to UX, and this is Are Scorpions OP by the channel TierZoo. Yes, this is the latest video that was uploaded just, I guess, 12 or so hours ago by TierZoo. Yeah, Are Scorpions OP? I don't know much about scorpions because I don't think, Casual Geography or TierZoo obviously talked about it. That's the only sources I have about any animal zoology. So scorpions, I guess, my basic knowledge is basically the scorpions are basically, really poisonous, right? Stinger, right? That gives them great weapon, but I don't think that would make them OP, right? And look at them, they're small as fuck right there. But then again, watching all the TierZoo video, I'm sure there could be some, hidden specialities here and there that make certain animals really OP. Because I've been surprised by this channel, right? Like, I thought certain animals are really OP, turn out to be just B tier at best, and some of them are like, oh come on, that can't survive. It turn out to be S tier because somehow the way they function, it just makes them OP in the server. Let's just say they operate, it makes them OP. So I don't know. But yeah, scorpions are pretty ancient, if I remember correctly. They can be dated back way too in the past, I guess, about a few 100 million years, I guess. So really ancient creatures, and yeah, they glow in the dark. Yeah, that's I don't know what it was, something like a discovery show that I saw when I was a kid, like one of those kid friendly discovery shows. So fun facts like scorpions glow. I don't know if all scorpion glows, but I'm pretty sure some of them glow. So yeah, that's always fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the Sunday, there's a link in this, and check the cards, everything cards. Yeah, that's what it. Damn. That shit is like Matrix. I didn't expect that. Okay, I did expect the sting, but I didn't expect, the mouse rat or whatever just to, jump back like that.
Scorpions are one of the most intimidating builds in the game. They're also one of the oldest, and have been in the game since before the devs even added the terrestrial server DLC. Their combination of powerful claws and deadly stinger create an imposing threat to anyone looking to challenge them in combat. But has their ancient strategy held up in the face of the immense power creep the game has seen? Let's take a closer look at the stats and abilities scorpions employ, and ultimately decide where they fall on the tier list. This video was made in partnership with CuriosityStream. First, their stats. The scorpion's stats are fairly decent across the board. Nothing completely overtuned, but not really lacking in any areas other than mobility and intelligence. Their power is obviously quite strong, as the Scorpion sports multiple types of damage-dealing equipment. Their claws act as potent grappling weapons, which can also deal minor crushing and slicing damage.
Yeah, one thing I use as a thumb rule whenever its animals are concerned, whenever humans use certain animal as an inspiration for something badass, right? There are wolves and there is tigers. People also, fascinated with, scorpions basically, right? Movies, Scorpion King, this and that. You know that these animals are pretty badass if they are doing that. And scorpions are pretty feared in desert sand type of area, type of thing. Obviously because of their sting, right? Their venom is really strong, venom, poison, whatever. And their claws and everything. So yeah, their mobility is not that high, but I guess they don't need to. They're like, slowly creep on you and attack you, that type of thing.
Their venom.
I guess they are arachnids as well, like spiders, right? Their whole stance and the way they operate, like slowly creeping on people, like how some spiders do. I don't know.
Sting is their ace move though, being able to one-shot most players if the move connects. Big if there, but we'll come back to that. Their defenses are quite sturdy, though they sport the fairly standard chitin armor found in most arthropod builds. This is all they really need to be able to deflect most attacks from players within their own weight class, giving it ample time to counterattack with its piercing stinger. It gets easily crushed by larger foes, however. This armor is also crucial for avoiding passive environmental damage from things like sandstorms, which are common in the biomes Scorpion mains favor. Despite the fact that humans have a way to completely negate the Scorpion's camouflage, against most opponents, the Scorpion's stealth is quite effective. In addition to camouflage, the Scorpion's flat shape allows it to easily wedge itself into more defensible positions. And their digging ability enables them to take cover in a pinch, which is good because stealth is basically their only option against more powerful players. They have very little defense against attacks from larger builds. You'd think their potent venom would make for an effective deterrent against attacks, but as we'll see, this defense falls apart rather quickly when it's truly tested. Their intelligence...
Oh yeah, the frogs and toads were immune against poison, venom, whatever. Yeah, the scorpions would just like, okay, that's it. Man, this is so creepy though, right? That they basically can dig in themselves inside the sand or whatever and just creep inside the cracks. That's the most. This is similar to as how snakes are, right? People fear scorpions the same way I think they fear snake, because they are really creep on you, right? You have to look for, like, holy shit, are there scorpions here? I have to look for them. It's just creepy feeling.
Being below average is no surprise. Intelligence builds weren't viable at all when scorpions were first added to the game. And while it's by far the most power-crept stat in the game now, back during the Ordovician expansion, intelligence as a strategy was largely ignored, and most players didn't level it beyond the point of granting basic sensory capabilities. So with all that said, scorpions are a solid build with a straightforward strategy and a respectable history. However, as alluded to earlier, power creep has massively undercut the viability of scorpion builds. A good player will have very little difficulty playing around the scorpion's strengths and exploiting its major weaknesses. So let's talk about those weaknesses. The straightforward nature of the scorpion's strategy is great for new players to be able to learn quickly. The scorpion's core strategy is to grapple an opponent, immobilizing them so that the scorpion's sting attack can connect without issue. The problem is, if they miss their grapple attempt, things can get dicey pretty quickly. Without claws holding the target in place, the venom sting attack has a pretty terrible accuracy rating. It's easily dodged, blocked, or avoided. Worse still, this stinger is not a disjointed hitbox. It can be damaged just the same as the rest of the scorpion's body. In fact, when dealing with a scorpion, this is the optimal strategy. Scorpion claws are fairly...
Okay. Yeah. I don't know how much great the sentence was. Like, stinger can be damaged just like any part of the scorpion's body. I mean, yeah. It's like, I don't know, it said that or something, like every 60 seconds a minute passes, something like that. Okay, yeah, obviously.
weak compared to other clawed arthropods. Hermit crabs and lobsters can both deal far more damage via their vice grip attacks. Scorpions rarely deal lethal damage in such a way, so if an opponent attacks and disables their stinger, it's often game over for the scorpion. Scorpions also have very little counterplay when faced with multiple opponents. With no multi-target or AoE attacks,
that's creepy,
and no means of quick escape, they're quickly overwhelmed from a multi-directional onslaught. Their grab attacks are also not as effective as they need to be at times. Because they mostly rely on the pointed ridges of their claws to maintain grip, armored targets that can resist being punctured by these spines can often slip right out of their grip with ease. Not that the scorpion had much hope of landing a sting against a target with high puncture resistance anyway. Now let's talk about matchups. First, the bad, of which there are many. The scorpion's worst matchups are going to be builds that spec into puncture-resistant armor or venom resistance. Several mammal builds, like the shrew and mongoose, opt for venom resistance solely for the purpose of subverting the scorpion's defenses, which makes this a borderline unwinnable matchup. The round shape of beetle armor is perfect for deflecting sting attacks, and extremely difficult to secure via grappling. Beetles tend to also be fairly lacking in their offensive stats, so it is rare to actually be defeated by one, but as a hunting target, they present quite a challenge. Ants obviously must be avoided at all costs, as scorpions have no outs against a swarming attack. Birds have high accuracy on their pecking attacks, and are often quite good at targeting their stingers. Their quick movement presents very little opportunity for counterattacks.
I mean, yeah, birds have ridiculous reflexes, right? Like, so you like, holy shit, you need to slow motion just to see how fast they can basically attack with their beaks. So scorpion, basically, if scorpions don't grab them, scorpion stingers is not going to be that accurate, which, not something that I would have thought. I thought they were really accurate with their stingers, right? I mean, that's the thing. I guess the movies basically gives you that wrong idea. But apparently the stingers are not that accurate.
Attack, making this a tough matchup. Certainly not impossible though, as one hit from the stinger is likely enough to KO any bird, and their feathers provide zero puncture resistance. Reptiles are kind of a toss-up. An attack from a lizard or snake is usually powerful enough to deal heavy damage through the scorpion's armor. However, these attacks usually present ample opportunity for a stinging counterattack too. If it connects, it may one-shot the reptile, but not before it has already dealt potentially lethal damage anyway. Scale armor is also somewhat puncture resistant, so So this, combined with the sting's low accuracy, means these fights tend to favor the reptile. For good matchups, scorpions are actually quite effective against spiders. They lack strong armor and need to get in close to deliver their own lethal strike, presenting lots of opportunity for counterattacks. Their webbing is of course a threat, but it's difficult for a spider to web down all 3 weapons, especially since the claws can slice through silk. Scorpions are also fairly decent at defense.
I mean, yeah, most of spiders needs webbing as a, basically, a tool to basically deactivate the enemy, I guess. But if their weapons are still active, let's just say, spider's gonna have a hard time taking the scorpion down.
Defending themselves from mammals like cats and dogs, as their claws cannot do much damage against the scorpion's armor, but the scorpion can easily counterattack for lethal if the mammal gets too careless. There are a few abilities I think could turn scorpions into a top-tier threat. A more versatile grappling option would be a solid start. Their claws struggle to secure opponents with puncture resistance or round shape, both of which are fairly abundant in the current meta. But there are plenty of other grappling techniques they could spec into instead of pincher claws. The Velvet Worm's glue spray attack could work well to immobilize prey, though this might not be super effective when trying to pin a player to a sandy surface. They could spec into the sort of tether grab attack like the Chameleon uses, though this requires a level of precision and accuracy that I don't think the Scorpion's current perception perks can quite support.
Yeah, I mean,
Scorpions could really
ridiculous.
benefit from catching up to the other arthropods who run the Compound Eyes perk, as this would really help alleviate their accuracy problem. One strat I think would work really well would be to min-max for the burrowing playstyle a bit more deliberately. The Antlion's playstyle of building a trap could be really effective, and the Scorpion is already fairly decent at digging holes. The added protection of staying out of sight would help against some of their worst matchups too. As they are now though, to be honest, I do think Scorpions have been power crept pretty hard, and that their glory days.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure scorpions are arachnid. So there are certain spiders who basically dig themselves inside the sand and wait for to create some kind of trap and wait for the prey. Right? Scorpion can do some similar shit like that.
Days of being a top meta threat are long gone. Their powerful grab sting death combo is still quite powerful, but their strategy is too easily subverted to make a dent in high level play. I place them firmly in D tier on the tier list. Nonetheless, Scorpions are a fascinating build that I do hope eventually get buffed. If you'd like to learn more about Scorpions, there's an excellent documentary.
I do hope they eventually get buffed and hunt humans, I guess. Yeah, that's what TierZoo want. So this was not one of those videos where I get surprised, right? That I knew Scorpions are deadly, but I knew that they are not going to be top tier. Just knowing how they are small, how they operate, right? Overall, there are many animals that can easily defeat it. So yeah, low D tier makes sense.
I can recommend, called Animal Armor. It's part of a series called Nature's Fight Club, and this episode centers on animals which prioritize their defensive abilities. It has a substantial section all about scorpions, but also features incredible builds like the pangolin and porcupine. You can check it out on CuriosityStream, the sponsor of today's video.
Yeah, people, go to curiositystream.com/TierZoo and support this channel. Hello, TierZoo. This is the channel that got me into all the animal zoology type of videos. I would have never thought I would watch something like this, because when everybody's just watching some discovery and some type of a wildlife type of video, right? National Geographic, this and that, and I was never into that shit, like tiger hunting some prey, and it's just gross and horrible. But I didn't know there is a channel who could make this all fun, which is TierZoo basically. And then I found some Frank 1, National Geographic, yeah. Alright, well, that was our Scorpions OP. Yeah, it depends on the condition, but probably not. By the channel TierZoo. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down if you want to react to a specific video. There are many TierZoo videos that are reacted to by now, so just search anything with CG reaction in the end, or in YouTube search, I guess you'll find it. Yeah, I'll see you next time.